But it's just so interesting to me how sometimes you just really have to listen to people and what they
Mhm.
say. And
Yes.
especially if you keep hearing it. And I mean, I don't want to fast forward too much because I know we have a lot of ground to cover and whatnot, but Yinka, my husband, the Oyelese in my name, if it were not for him, first off, I wouldn't know Alvin. I wouldn't know any of the guys in Take Six. And I would have
Mhm.
never even considered leaving my classical background to
Wow.
pursue popular music. But it was Yinka planting the seed and saying, hey, why don't you think about the following ...
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Making It. My name is Kenan Cooley.
I'm Alvin Shia. Hey, Kenan.
Hey there, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. We have an amazing guest. We have an amazing guest. Very, very
I
talented.
think all of our guests are amazing. I'd like to start with that.
Yes. Some are capital amazing. Some
Capital
are
amazing.
UH amazing. Is UH amazing. Actually, UH amazing. Yes.
That's good.
Yeah,
so who is this amazing? Who is this amazing guest?
Should we wait to say her name?
Say her name,
We've
but
known
tell
each
me.
other for a bunch. Oh, yes. Patrice
Tell me.
Jegou-Oyelese.
Yes.
The hardest thing is pronunciation, making sure I don't obliterate her name, but she is easy as Sunday morning, an amazing person, and
Yeah.
a bunch of years, and just excited to talk to her.
Yeah, and she's been in the industry a long time, as many of us have, right?
Yes, she's a survivor. She is a survivor. So we're excited about the conversation.
Yeah, and I know a little bit about it, but I'm excited to learn more. So without further ado,
there she is.
Hi.
Hi, Patrice.
Hello.
Now we're going to start with, I know French, but your name is actually French/African, and we tried to do it, but we started it a little. So
French/Nigerian.
Nigerian, yes.
Good grief.
Yes. So my dad was from France, so that's the Jegou. Yes. And then Yinka, my husband, is from Ibadan, and that's the Oyelese. So there's a lot of vowels.
Oh, I learned something. I was saying Oyelese. I didn't know it was Oyelese.
I was too. Okay. Oyelese.
Nice.
Oyelese.
Yes. Perfect.
Got it. All right.
I already set up Patrice. I said that's the hardest thing about Patrice, making sure you don't abuse her name. After that, everything is easy and wonderful. She's
everything.
An amazing person.
It's just
perfect. Wonderful.
Well, also, Alvin gave you the term of not just being amazing, but amazing.
I say UHMAAA.
That's extra. And I agree.
Yeah.
So I know you and Alvin have worked together, but I have learned a lot about you. But I would like for you to tell us more about who you are and what you've done.
I'm tempted. Should we start most recently, or should we start where you fell in love with music and music grabbed you and you took off and you decided this is my passion? Let's do that. Where was that moment that when you said, I got something to say, I've got something to share?
Oh, Mexico.
Okay.
Mexico. Well, almost Mexico. Let me put it this way. That's not totally true, but the seed was planted in Mexico, let me tell you. So we'll go back in time a little bit. Now, you must know I am a singer, but I'm also a talker. So if I get going.
We got time.
Do not, I am not offended if you do. Yeah, okay, we got to wrap it up, or that you are not offended. Yeah, come on.
Everybody understands rap, right?
Yeah. So I guess it's a little bit of a strange journey because so first off, I'm Canadian, and I grew up in sport first and foremost, not in music. So initially, my background is in sport. So I'm actually a retired professional figure skater, and I came to
that I didn't know.
Whoa! Pause on that one. Really?
Pausing. That's how I came to music.
And my mind immediately went Canada hockey. So you already are going in a different direction.
But professionally, you did it professionally.
That is correct. And that's actually how, so that's going to take me to the Mexico story. So I'll give you the Reader's Digest. Remember the Reader's Digest?
Yes.
So I'm going to give you, old people know what I'm talking about, myself included, right? I say it to youngsters, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, I'll give you the Reader's Digest version of the Reader's Digest version. So, so I'm a retired professional figure skater, and I was skating in an ice show in Mexico, on tour in Mexico, in a company that was owned by a circus. So we literally skated under a circus tent. They made the ice within 8 hours. We call it tank ice. And we had two tents. We had the big tent for the big cities and the big ice for the big cities. Then we had a smaller tent for the small cities and the smaller ice for the smaller cities. So I did that gig as a skating showgirl. That is what I was called. So it was a joint production through Hermanos Fuentes Gasca, big circus company in Mexico, based out of Mexico City, co-produced with.
How old were you? How old were you?
Yeah.
I was 20.
Okay.
I think, yeah, 20 or 21. I had been coaching figure skating in Dunedin and Queenstown, New Zealand prior to that. So I was actually a coach too. So I coached figure skating in New Zealand for 18 months and I couldn't get another work visa. It expired. So I came back to Canada. I trained for a few months, sent my audition tape into Richard Porter Productions, Las Vegas. He was the co-producer of the show. I got the job and I flew down to Mexico. I learned the choreography and I started skating in the show and toured all around Mexico. And the cast would rotate out as people's contracts expired and whatnot. And a new skater came down. Mainly the skaters were American. There were a few Canadians like me. There was an Australian guy. And a new skater came down from British Columbia. And he had a background, obviously, in figure skating, but also in musical theater. And he and I became friends. And we would goof off during intermission. We did 13 shows a week. So, there was time in between the shows to sort of just laugh and have fun and chit chat and sing. And he said to me one time, during intermission, he said, Patrice, I think you have a good voice. I think when your contract is up and you move back to Canada, you should think about taking some singing lessons. So that was in 1991, I believe it was. In 1992, I took my first singing lesson. And here I am now in 2023, talking to you fine people. So that was the seed. And it's
good
just
on
funny.
the guy. Good on that guy. Yeah.
Well, that's a whole other conversation actually too. And Reader's Digest version of the Reader's Digest version for the whole other conversation. I know we don't have time, but it's just so interesting to me how sometimes you just really have to listen to people and what they say.
Yeah.
And especially if you keep hearing it. And I mean, I don't want to fast forward too much because I know we have a lot of ground to cover and whatnot, but Yinka, my husband, the Oyelese in my name, if it were not for him, first off, I wouldn't know Alvin. I wouldn't know any of the guys in Take Six. And I would have never even considered leaving my classical background to pursue popular music. But it was Yinka planting the seed and saying, hey, why don't you think about the following ... So anyway.
There's about 3 or 4 wrapped up little lessons right there. Surrounding yourself by people that see the vision in you. Listen to them. A lot of times, especially as believers, we're so modest or falsely modest or, oh, you really have, and you might miss something where somebody's really trying to, hey, you got it. You should really look into that. And there's a whole voyage that you would have, disqualified yourself for.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you.
I still say kudos to you though for being open-minded, because someone could have said it to you and you could have said, no, you're crazy. I'm not going to do that. So when you were younger, before that, you'd never ever in your own mind thought about singing? It didn't occur to you that I like it?
I did like it. And my mom sent us to a Christian school that had a music program and a choir and all that. And we had chapel. So with the chapel service, there was singing and congregational singing and whatnot. So it wasn't like I was not exposed to music or exposed to singing or choral music or anything like that. It was there, but it was never like, oh, this is something I should do. Not when I was growing up, not necessarily. And in high school, I didn't join the choir or anything like that. In high school, I was on the sports teams.
Right.
And I was playing sports. I was skating and I was playing baseball and volleyball and blah, blah, blah. And I was in the theater club, in the drama club. I was a jock and then a drama nerd.
Jock.
I love it.
I wasn't even thinking about that. But when I was coaching figure skating in New Zealand, as an outside thing, I auditioned for a theater show and I got a little singing part. Now, it was just vocalizing. It wasn't a musical theater piece or anything like that, but it required being able to hold a tune and carry a tune and vocalize a little bit. So there were little sprinklings here and there, but really it wasn't until that skater, Richard McBride is his name, from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada.
Ricky McBride. I like him.
Richard
I like him. He's going
McBride.
places.
Planted the seed, and then teachers planted more seeds as I went along, you know. So I started lessons. I only knew one teacher in my little city in Red Deer, Alberta, Canada. So I started with her, and then I was going to college, the community college in my hometown, and I thought, ooh, I'm going to audition for the jazz choir. I probably won't make it.
There you go. That was my question. So where was it always jazz, or were you, I'm going to be a pop girl, I'm going to be R&B, I'm a rocker? How did you know that this was, I'm going to do this and it's going to sound like jazz?
I totally didn't know any of that, and I never knew I was going to sound like anything, and it was going to be anything. How about that?
Brilliant.
So brilliant answer. It's like, I didn't know. I was just taking little baby steps forward here and there. So anyway, I was at Red Deer College after I came back from my job in Mexico, and I auditioned for the jazz choir, but then the rest of my courses were very general. I was taking French and history and English and just general courses. But when I got accepted into the jazz choir, and I could hardly believe it, I was taking private voice lessons at this time. One day I mustered up the courage to audition for a solo. And I got, I couldn't believe it in the jazz choir, you know, oh my goodness. Anyway, I told my voice teacher, you know what, I think I actually want to change my major. I think I want to pursue music. Can you help me get ready for the audition at the University of Calgary, which is the big city south of Red Deer? I'd like to audition for their music program. And honestly, you guys, I had no confidence to even consider auditioning for multiple universities, multiple music schools, anything like that. I'm like, I'm just going to try. We'll just see. Well, anyway, I got accepted into the Bachelor of Music program at the University of Calgary. And back then, so I started that degree in 1994. Back then, I didn't know you could study in places around the world, pop or contemporary music at all. I just went, I got accepted to the University of Calgary. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it's just classical. So I studied classical, and I quote unquote became a classical singer, though my studies with my teacher in Red Deer were primarily classical. And within the first, I would say, month of those lessons, when I started with my teacher there, who I studied with obviously for 4 years, his name was Donald Bell, he said to me, Patrice, you must do a master's degree. And I'm thinking, I just got here. Like, I just arrived. Hello. Like, I don't know anything. And he said, I do. And you see, just listening to people. There you go, Alvin, like you were saying before. He said, I think you have a professional sounding voice, and I think you really need to go for it. I was like, okay. I didn't even know what he meant by that. I didn't even know what he was talking about. But under his guidance, I started taking little steps, auditioning for things here and there, and moving forward. And I took his advice. I did do a master's degree, and I went to Nashville, Tennessee, to Belmont University.
The pieces are coming together.
Yeah. The pieces are coming together. You want me to just kind of keep telling you the pieces, like how I went, you know, from Canada to different.
So just well, one quick comment.
Of course.
First of all, your parents, without even knowing them, are amazing, because you already said that at 20 years old, living in Mexico, you had been to New Zealand, you know, you're hailing from, at 20 years old, my little girl would have been like, oh, honey, okay, what's going on? Well, I haven't heard from you.
That's what I was thinking. She was all over the place and
all over the place, and got international dripping in your blood, and you're
amazing.
Fearless. It's amazing.
Yeah,
fearless. But you know, even with my background in skating growing up, there was always a lot of travel for competitions and whatnot. And I guess maybe that the competition aspect of it does kind of help you lose some of your fear to a certain extent. That, you know, you can sort of bring that into other aspects of life, because, you know, as
with the butterflies.
It helped, definitely 100% helps with the butterflies. And also it helps with the fear of failure. It doesn't remedy it completely, at all. But that element of failure or the fear of failure or that kind of thing is mitigated. I guess maybe that's the right word. But anyway, so yeah, so I ended up, and I did audition for a few places, but there was a particular teacher that I really wanted to study with. And she just so happened, always just so happened, you know, when we're talking about the hand of God and providence, we know there is no just so happen, right? The divine hand of God
ordered
guiding
steps. Ordered
the
steps.
ordered steps, 100%. And may I never, ever think that my ordered steps are better than his ordered steps. I've made that little mistake a couple of times. It's like, your timetable's not fast enough. Let me just quickly do Patrice's.
Let me help you a little bit.
Let me help you. Yeah.
Especially in our business, it's really hard to keep your eyes on your path. You're like,
yes,
they're doing that. I want to do that. I could do that.
But you know what? That's an interesting point, Alvin. Because you didn't know Patrice anything about the industry, did you have a better advantage of not the expectations and pressure that some people would have had because you knew so much? You know what I mean? Because you didn't really know. You were just kind of going what people said. And a lot of people who are aspiring to be in the entertainment business, they actually have more angst and worry about, oh, I got to make it to this part and this part. Did you have none of that because you were just going as the guy you were guided?
Are you asking me or Patrice?
I'm asking Patrice.
Oh, yes.
No, I was saying you made a good point, but I'm asking Patrice where you just guided, you know, to just keep going because you didn't have to worry about the entertainment part you didn't know.
I didn't know. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know. And it, I must say there was, I can't say I was driven by the, I've got to make it in the entertainment industry.
Okay.
I got to make it. Yeah, it's the entertainment. Because I actually became a Christian in New Zealand when I was coaching figure skating there. You want to talk about the divine hand of destiny. How about, you know, 18 years old, I moved there for a job. And how, even though my mom sent us to a Christian school, that doesn't mean anything. Did you know that?
No.
Please.
You don't become in shape just because you joined the gym.
Right.
I wish, but
that's a good one.
Anyway, but no, it's sort of like, if there's a calling in you and on you, and you have enough faith to just keep taking one little step at a time, you just do it.
Yeah.
And I try not to, and it's like, you know, you were saying, the comparisonitis. That's what Dave Ramsey calls it. And I like Dave Ramsey. I like to listen to him every so often. The comparisonitis will get your blinders off. It will get you comparing yourself to others and their path and their journey. Their path and their journey, that's not my path and my journey. Now, that doesn't mean I have to be naive and say, well, I can't learn anything from them anyway, so I'm just gonna, no. They have their own path, but what are they doing? How are they navigating? What's their practice routine like? Or what is their social media, whatever it may be. But no, you know, I didn't know, and I didn't know anyone in the entertainment industry. I didn't know anyone in classical music, pop. So I was just kind of doing my
doing you.
I was doing me and just taking suggestions by my voice teachers, and then eventually my husband and other people. And so anyway, I ended up in Nashville. I did a classical voice degree at Belmont. And they do have a classical program. So, because most people are like, oh, so did you study country music there? I'm like, no, I sure didn't. I studied classical music because of a specific teacher I wanted to study with. Anyway, she said to me, or if she didn't say it to me, somehow I heard it, you need to do a doctoral degree. And I'm thinking, whoa, really? She's like, yes.
There were some programs that push you.
These teachers, listen, mentorship / teachership, not a word, but I know what you mean, is so important. I think, and I'm making this up on the spot, I don't have stats, and I don't have a document I can show you going, here's a bibliography with all the people that had mentors. But didn't all the people have mentors? I mean, Vinny, you guys, Quincy Jones, is he not a mentor? I mean, I'm sure if I were to ask you, tell me all your mentors, you'd be here going, well, actually, we only have so much time. So
yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so, somebody believing in you.
And so for you, do you, what would be, aside from the education side, did you have mentors that are people that are doing it in the business? Like, I want my career to look like that.
Back then, I mean, I must say, not really. However, I did have famous singers that I admired, but I never thought, oh, I want to specifically have what they have. In fact, to be honest, I can't say that since 1992, my first voice lesson, and here we are in 2023, there's ever been someone where I'm like, I want that. But there have been people where I'm like, ooh, I wouldn't mind a bit of that. And then with that person, a little bit of that. Oh, and then that person has that. So, like taking a little bit from here and there. Like, do I want Sandy Patty's high notes? I sure do. Right? Do I want Michael Bublé's confidence and swagger? Yes, I do. Do I want the kind of musicianship that Take Six has? That kind of ear? Of course I do. Of course I do. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but you kind of get the gist. So I can't say there was one person where I'm like, I want Barbra Streisand's career. No, it wasn't that. It was like sort of bits and pieces here and there. And I don't know if it was because I started a little bit older. I started my undergrad degree at 23, my master's at 28. I started my doctorate at 30. How old was I when I started my doctorate? 36, 34, 34. And I had already been teaching. I had taught at a university for 3 years. So it was just a lot of education and whatnot. But anyway, I took Dr. Zielinski. That was her name. I took her advice. And after I finished my teaching job in Canada, I moved down to New Jersey to do my doctorate at Rutgers at Mason Gross School of the Arts. And I completed my doctorate in 2012, but I had married Yinka in 2007. And we met in New Brunswick, New Jersey. And I wish he were here because his story is way more, well, Alvin, I think you might know a little bit of Yinka's story. Keenan, I don't know if you do.
Trust me, I'm learning so much. I never knew you had your doctorate, and I'm like, oh, this changes everything.
Well, and I'm also thinking, man, that's about the most educated singer I've ever heard.
Actually, yes, I definitely. Back to amazing. Amazing.
Well, I didn't know any other way. People were making these suggestions. I'm like, well, I'm just going to try. And so, I did audition to a few other places here and there. But again, the connection was primarily with the teachers. So for example, even the reason I auditioned for Rutgers for Mason Gross School of the Arts is because of a specific teacher. So when I was teaching at the University of Lethbridge in Canada, I applied for the NATS, that stands for the National Association of Teachers of Singing, which I've been a member of for the last 21 years. They have a summer teaching internship scholarship program where young voice teachers get to intern with a master voice teacher. So I applied and I was accepted. And so I interned with Judith Nicosia, who is a master voice teacher, classical. But I'm all classical up to this point until I met Yinka. Then that's where we go off to the side. But anyway,
come with me to the dark side.
Come with me to the dark side. But anyway, so I studied with Judith under her for the teaching internship, and I thought, wow, this lady, I understand why she's a master teacher. I thought, if I'm going to do my doctorate with somebody, I would love to do my doctorate with her. So I did apply to Rutgers and I got in. And like I said, I applied to a couple other schools too. But she was the draw. And again, it's so interesting that the personal relationship, the mentorship aspect of it, it just makes such a difference. You're not just going in blind with a complete stranger and all that. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, I totally get it. But if you have to say, okay, there's a new administration and they make you pick one thing. Would it be teaching? Would it be performance? Would it be I mean, it seems like you're the Forrest Gump of jazz. You've done so many different amazing things. What is it that you really, I got to do this?
I must tell you, I really love teaching.
Wow. Really?
I like that. I don't want to be another hyphenate. So I'm Jegou-Oyelese, but I also want to be artist-teacher, or maybe it should be teacher-artist.
Right.
Wow.
I don't know. There's something.
You're a teacher that performs more than a performer that teaches.
I think so, Alvin. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. And it's, we talk so much about like listening to the voices around you, listening to what people say, even if, sometimes for me, it's like, what? You see that in me? Like, has that ever happened to you? You're thinking.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you both have stories where you're like, you see that in me? I don't see that in me. What are you blind? Like,
right. I
but
used to respect you.
Yeah, you used to respect you. Now it's happened. And I must say to you, and I don't want this to come out sideways like, oh, look at her, she's just so haughty. But honestly, you guys, I must tell you, over the years, and it's not even because I was thinking of it, people have said, oh, you're a really good coach when I was a figure skating coach, or, oh, you have a knack for coaching. Oh gosh, you have such a knack for teaching.
That is a real skill set. You know, for me, the Olympics now is about that for me. Anybody get out there and, you know, you train, you like crazy and you're excited and you reach your goal and you're celebrating with the flag around you. My favorite thing is to watch the coaches.
Mine too.
The trainers.
Oh, really?
They give their lives up.
I do too. I'm giving you a high five over Zoom.
Yes. And they're living and dying with every bit of your performance. And when you do it, they are, I mean, that is the most beautiful part of human nature to me. That's my favorite thing about it. Yeah.
Well, and you know what? I think too, if we take the Olympics and the coaches and all that, and we go, does that happen in our field of music or entertainment? It really does. The producers, the music directors, the vocal coaches, the voice teachers, I don't know, insert whatever I'm missing. Somebody.
Those it's late at night. My phone hasn't rung. Is my career, does it mean anything? The person that you give that call to, that person. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it has to be people behind the scenes that make the people in front of the scenes look great.
Sure.
And it's never just the person in the front. There's a lot of people who have made that person, built that person up, trained that person, encouraged them, whatever it took to get them to that stage. So really there's a big 20 or 30 people behind one person.
Always. In fact, I was always aware of that as a performer when, you know, you would be tempted to do this or get into that or do that. I'm like, just even from a spiritual perspective, I've got so many different churches that are praying for me and believing me and encouraging me. I can't do like, Alvin did what? I would let so many people down, you know? But if you are aware of that, as you move forward, we're all like that. We have people that depend on us, looking up to us, people that you've encouraged, people that, you know, hung in there because of you. You know, I totally agree that. So are you teach? I know you're now not in Jersey now. You're
So I'm northbound. So I teach at Berklee now, associate professor, voice department.
I wasn't aware of this. That's great.
Oh yeah. So
I did see that. I did see that she knew that.
Let's talk about people again, shall we? And the divine hand of God. So again, it's one of those things where it's all about God's timing. It really is. And you know, I'm going to try and be funny. Canadians, I think, are very funny people. But anyway, I mean, I'm just telling you, God's timing is not my timing. He is just taking his time. I'm like, hello, come on, let's go. I'm like, so it's funny because, and the reason I say that is because I actually had applied for a job teaching at Berklee before Yinka and I moved up to Boston, and we moved here in February of 2022. So like a year and a half ago. And I didn't hear anything back. I mean, I knew we were moving. I'm like, well, I might as well apply for a job at Berklee if we're moving up to Boston. Didn't hear anything. Then I got one of the out of the blue emails. Have you ever had one of those?
Yes.
You already know where this story is going, don't you?
The way all the rest of your stories have gone.
Yeah. Like, so my voice teacher is in New York City. His name, Alvin, it's Justin Stoney. You know Justin?
Great guy.
Great guy, great teacher, great pedagogue.
Yeah.
So I started studying with Justin in 2015. So I've been studying with him for about 8 years now. And why did I start studying with Justin? Because I thought, oh, I should start studying with Justin? No, because Yinka, with his fabulous ear, said, you need a teacher who can teach you how to sing popular music. You're classically trained, and that's all good and fine. But if you are going to pursue this other music that you like and that I think you should explore, you have to change your technique. You have to change your interpretation, et cetera, et cetera. So I found Justin, and like I said, I've been studying with him since 2015. And he emailed me and said, do you know Phil Lima? I said, no, I don't. He said, oh, he's the assistant chair of the voice department at Berklee College of Music, and they need more teachers. Can I do a virtual introduction? I'm like, absolutely. So he did a virtual introduction. This is after I'd already applied for the job and didn't hear anything back. And Phil's a very, very, very wonderful person. I love him so much. And so it was just an introduction. Hello, I'm in here. I'm in Boston now and blah, blah, blah. And I think I might have sent him my CV. I can't remember. And then didn't hear anything. And then a year later, out of the blue again, hi, Patrice, are you still interested in teaching at Berklee? I'm like, yeah, I'm here in Boston.
That should be your next album title, project title, Out of the Blue.
I was going to say, it's
love
she's wearing all blue because she's an out of the blue person, right?
Out of the blue. Here we are.
Out of the blue. So long story short, I went through the interview process. I went through the teacher observation process. Ann Peckham, who's my supervisor, Phil Lima is my assistant supervisor. She's chair, he's assistant chair. Ann had to watch me give a lesson. And then next thing I know, out of the blue, I was hired on at Berklee. So I started last fall and it's been wonderful. And
Amazing.
Again, the thing I love about it is the one-on-one with young people. They're really special. They're really wonderful. And you don't have time. I could go on about that, but anyway.
I just wanted to you've mentioned him already a couple of times, Yinka, your amazing husband.
Yes.
And I think it is so appropriate that there's one thing I know about Yinka. He is the ultimate cheerleader and somebody who's so encouraging, and
definitely
he's everybody's
100%.
rah guy. And
Definitely.
so much so that you forget how deep he is.
Oh.
He's got he's uber qualified. The guy's been on reality TV for specials because he's got this specialist thing, and he's this physician.
Right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's a doctor.
I just think it's so great that you flourish with these people that are in your corner, and you got the ultimate cheerleader, and I'm seeing you guys just explode from level to level.
You do too, though.
I sure do.
I know you do.
Yeah.
And I mean, I mean, you're on the road here, you're on the road there, you're gigging here, you're gigging there.
Absolutely.
You need your cheerleaders too. Keenan, I don't know if you have a cheerleader. I hope you do, and if it's not a close somebody, at least you have a group of people.
Actually, my sons are my cheerleaders. They kind of be my inspiration. They're always in my corner.
Yeah, that's really important.
Very much important.
It is.
Where do you want to go next? Either for your I don't know which one to ask about your teaching aspirations or your singing aspirations. What do you want to do next? And you're like, bucket list.
Well, I want to tell you about my next album that's coming out.
Okay.
It's called Out of the Blue.
It is not. Is it really? That's scary. Said, wait, what?
We're starting it today.
Yeah, we're starting it today.
We're gonna have to get some kind of credit though for that, because I think
I'll make sure you're both credited. So far, I have no songs recorded, no vision quite yet for the album.
I'll produce it. You and Alvin can sing on it, and then Yinka can get the pictures.
First track starts here.
I just have a title for the record. That's all I have. Courtesy of you two.
That's right. It'll be released next spring.
Yeah, but actually, so Yinka's my producer, as you know. And by the way, Yinka is way more interesting than me. I am so boring compared to
if he's way more interesting than this, he's next interview. Because are you serious? This has been like amazing.
Tell him.
Amazing.
Okay, let me just, before I tell you what I want to do next, apart from my new album called Out of the Blue. First off, what's interesting about Yinka is that he's the person that if you say, hey, that Steely Dan record, the third track, and he'll go, yeah, the one where so-and-so was playing bass, but then they brought in another bass player halfway through because he's that person.
Wow.
They used the Fairchild on track 9, but they didn't use it. He's that person. So
really?
Yes. And when we
he doesn't have the musical background necessarily or anything. Or does he?
He grew up as a singer, though. They had his family singing group, so they sang a cappella music, which is his love for Take 6, obviously.
Right.
And but not just Take 6. Now you know that he loves you, of course. We know this, but it's like groups like the King's Heralds that
he's all the way in.
He's all the way in.
All the way in.
That's kind of where he started, and so he would transcribe the vocal lines just by hearing out of one speaker there and one speaker there. Then he would give the parts to his brothers and their neighbor, and they created a singing group with the family, and they used to sing around Nigeria.
It's so interesting that he started singing, but he's not a singer now. You didn't start singing. Now you're a singer. You guys are both very interesting. That's what it is.
Yeah.
We belong together.
Yeah. But it was interesting because he actually wanted to be a recording engineer, but his father would not have it. It was either like, look, here's the crossroads, dearest son. You're either going to go to medical school or you're going to be a recording engineer, but you're going to medical school, if you know what I'm saying.
He had a Nigerian dad. I have a life.
You have a choice. You have
totally
a choice.
Understand. My dad was probably asking me what I was going to do when I grow up last year.
Exactly.
Like, working out for me, man. Support me, man.
I know. So anyway, but he always had a passion for recording, and he did start a recording studio with a friend in Nigeria, went to medical school, but always had a passion for music, and he's an uber fan of Take Sixes and the King's Heralds, of course, and of a cappella music in general. And Yinka has an incredible ear, despite the fact that, you know, he's really not trained or had any formal, you know, singing lessons or anything like that, which you don't have to do. His ear is really, I joke with Justin, actually, if I do Zoom lessons now because I'm in Boston and Justin's in New York, obviously, but on occasion, Yinka might be working from home. So he'll overhear my lesson over Zoom, and he might just kind of come in, just like, you know, saunter, you know, you're kind of flat on that note there. And then Justin and I start laughing because I say Yinka's my unpaid vocal coach, my other unprofessional unpaid vocal coach. Yeah. But it was his idea for me to study with Justin and to start and to pursue singing popular music. Then I had to change my technique pretty much completely to do so. Yeah.
As we conclude, I just want to ask you one more question. Where do you see, since you started in such a different way, where do you see yourself going? I mean, do you see yourself retiring from singing and just teaching, or do you see doing some other kinds of music, or where do you see yourself doing next?
I think I'm gonna be my hyphenated self. I think I'm gonna be both and. Can we be both and?
Yes, you can.
I think artist teacher or teacher artist is probably the best way for me to go, because, you know, sometimes you just can't get away from something that kind of follows you around that you should be doing. Does that make sense to you when I say that?
So much sense. It's not even funny. Yes.
Yeah. Totally. Right. And it's like the teaching, I can't get away from it. I kind of tried to. I retired for a long time from teaching, and here I am again. And I really enjoy it.
I mean, you've definitely earned it. I mean, you have the training both ways from the educational side and the experience. So you'd be an amazing, as Alvin would say, amazing person to learn.
Dr. Amazing.
And this interview has been amazing, and we really appreciate your time so much.
Patrice, you are amazing, amazing. Yes, I have another single. Your first single should be hyphenated and caffeinated.
Yeah, that's my life. Please, it's true. Hyphenated and caffeinated. I might have to write that one. I don't think it exists.
No, it doesn't. That's not. Where are you? What are your socials?
Yes.
Oh, my socials. So my socials, well, first off, if anyone just Googles me and they want to get to my website, which will then take them to my socials, I go by Patrice Jegou. There's no Oyelese. They can't handle it. There's too many vowels. So just Patrice Jegou, Jegou, Patrice, like Patrice Russian. Then I'm on Instagram at Patrice Jegou_music. I'm on Facebook at Patrice Jegou Music, YouTube, Patrice Jegou Music. I'm all over the place.
Just go to Google and you'll find all of those things.
We'll track you down.
Yeah, you track me down.
But thanks so much for your time.
So much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All that you're giving to both sides, and continue to do that.
My joy and my pleasure and my honor. Such a privilege to be with both of you today, and my honor. Thanks for your time. It's really, I'm blessed. Blessed to know both of you. Blessed to be here. Thank you.